Could this be one of the better NFL drafts in U of A football history? We're going to talk about all of that and a surprise name to keep an eye on.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it Locked On Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. This show is brought to you by Gametime. Check it out, Gametime. All right, now, the NFL Draft is here. Well, it's almost here, a couple days away. And it has been a long time since Arizona has had players that have been drafted. We have been in the wilderness for quite a while. And a big part of this was that, under Dick Tomey, Arizona had some pretty good players that went off to the NFL. Arizona actually had first-round picks. I think back to that 1998 team, you had Chris McAllister was the 10th pick in the draft. Then the following year, Trunk Candidate was the last pick in the first round, and then Dennis Northcutt was the first pick in the second round. I mean, before that, you had a lot of players that played at the NFL and were very, very good. And then let's see here. Then after that, one thing I got to give Mike Stoops. I don't think Mike Stoops was the greatest coach in the world, but Mike Stoops did a very, very good job of putting NFL talent or getting NFL talent. And there was a lot of players that went on to play in the NFL. Obviously, you think about your Rob Gronkowskis, your Brooks Reeds, your Earl Mitchells, a lot of different dudes that that was a big part of it. People want to play for good, or people want to play in situations where they know that they're going to go off to a team and get taken care of, because they know that, that's kind of your NFL training ground. And, honestly, for a long time, you could look at some of the teams around the NFL and you'd be like, man, there was a lot of linebackers that came through the U of A. I mean, heck, at one time you had Teddy Bruschi, you had Lance Briggs, you had Antonio Pierce. Those are just really, really good recruiting tools. Now, under Rich Rod was an all right coach, or Rich Rod I thought was a fairly decent coach. The problem with Rich Rod is that he didn't recruit. And not only did he not recruit, he didn't even try to recruit. And that was an issue. Now, remember with Rich Rod, his whole thing was it didn't matter about the star rankings for a player. No. It didn't matter about a star ranking. All it mattered was if they were an OKG or not, which was a very, very easy way of saying that, yeah, these guys aren't good enough to probably play. And the recruiting rankings show that I'm probably not recruiting as hard as I should, but don't worry. Don't trust me. These are OKGs. There is nothing to see here. And what happened after a while is that when the talent level ran out from some of the Mike Stoops teams, Rich Rod then was kind of exposed. Now, Rich Rod was such a good coach that he was able to mix and match stuff and kind of make it work for a while. But sooner or later, you do need talent. And the thing that I think is very easy and is very discernible for a lot of people to understand is you need NFL talent, because that is where you really kind of get things moving. And one thing I got to give Jedd Fisch is this. Listen, I thought Jedd Fisch was very crummy in how he left, but I got to give Jedd Fisch a lot of credit on how he went about getting NFL talent, bolstering NFL talent. Now, some of the players that we are going to talk about are leftover NFL talent from Kevin Sumlin, which is just very, very funny to think about. But the first name we need to talk about is Jordan Morgan, local kid. It would be absolutely fantastic if he was able to be a first-round pick, because he would be the second year in a row a guy from Tucson has been a first-round pick. Yes, Marana, I get it. Different. Miss me with all of that. That is Tucson. That counts as Tucson. That would be fantastic if Jordan Morgan was able to do that, and second of all, he deserves it. Now, listen, coming out of high school, I didn't really see Jordan Morgan being that dude. who was going to be someone that was going to be able to be a first round pick. I just did not see that. And I think the one thing about it is that that you need to be able to find somebody that that is a that has the kind of frame, that has the kind of ability to be able to make a play and to be able to get really good. Jordan Morgan had that. I just didn't know that he had the killer instinct. He certainly has the killer instinct, and he showed that. And the way that he was able to improve year in and year out was very, very impressive. He was a player that is incredibly he moves very, very well for a big man. And he's also, like I said, he's also gotten better each year, and he's a good kid. He's a willing worker. All of that stuff kind of matters. All of that stuff really, really matters. And he's that guy that's able to I think is going to be able to, show the NFL folks what he's capable of. His upside is very, very high. Now, you still have a couple questions here or there, probably about maybe the killer instinct. But I think overall, he's shown that he knows that, he's a more than capable NFL prospect, and also just a really, really good kid. The coaching staff did a very, very good job of working with Jordan Morgan. I also got to give Jordan Morgan a lot of credit, because it would have been very, very easy for him to leave after last year and then go rehab in the NFL, but he probably would have been a third-round pick. He came back this year. He showed everybody that he was fully healthy, and he is going to be, like I said, he's got the potential to be a really, really, really good player. And he's going to be a first round pick. We would certainly hope, and if not, he is going to be a very high second rounder. It's somewhere that's kind of in that discussion. So with Jordan Morgan, though, anybody can use an offensive tackle. You get people that'll say, where's a great fit? Offensive tackle is kind of like a pitcher in baseball. You can never have too many offensive tackles. There's never been a coach, there's never been a team or a player that was like, man, we got too many offensive tackles, or we don't need this position. Nobody says that, because it is impossible to have too many offensive tackles. I think Jordan Morgan is going to fit in very well wherever he goes. And I think with his maturity level, with his, just his maturity level, his upside, his strength, I think he's going to be able to be an immediate impact. You bring in somebody like Jordan Morgan and you look at him as a plug and play. These guys that are 4 and 5th year players, you want them to be able to come in and plug and play immediately. Jordan Morgan's that dude. Jordan Morgan is that guy. And whoever gets him, I think, is going to get a hard worker. And I think ideally you're saying that hopefully this guy can be a player who is going to be with our program for the next 10 years as a starter, because that's what you draft somebody in the first round for. You draft them to come in and hopefully be a starter immediately, especially at the offensive line, because these are the guys that get paid to protect the money makers that are the quarterbacks in the NFL. Now, let's talk Monopoly Go for a second. Download Monopoly Go, free App Store and Google Play. Monopoly Go, check it out. It's added a new level to everything, and that is, I think, what's exciting. That's what people like about it, is that Monopoly Go it kind of brings you back to a little bit of kind of your childhood to a certain degree, but it's also virtual at this point. You can play it with your friends. You can play it with people that you like, people you don't like, who knows? But Monopoly Go is fun. It's free. Check it out at the App Store and Google Play. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now let's talk more about Arizona players that are going to be picked in the NFL draft, because there is a number of them. Okay, now the next one is Jacob Cowing. All right, listen. Jacob Cowing, one thing about Jacob Cowing that always cracked me up was when he was listed at 5'11". That was one where it's like, no. When he is actually measured, he's going to come in at 5'8". And that's exactly what he came in at. But Jacob Cowing can play. When I look around the NFL, and I've been using this example for quite a bit, I don't see why Jacob Cowing can't be Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers, the outstanding, well, I mean, yes, the outstanding rookie wide receiver. If you watched in the NFL playoffs, you'd know that, he had a couple little mistakes here and there. But overall, Zay Flowers is kind of who I would compare him to, in that he's just got a knack for the football, whether that's catching the ball, whether that's getting touchdowns. But generally, Jacob Cowing is in the right place at the right time. And what always kind of stuck out to me too about him was just kind of the physicality in which he did play with. You don't see a lot of guys that are 5'8" in Power 5 football that can get you 12 or 13 touchdown catches. I mean, he had multiple games with 3 or 4 touchdowns, and his acceleration, I think Anthony Gimino put it really well when he said, I don't know that I've seen anybody here that has that acceleration from 1 yard to 5 yards. In the manner in which Jacob Cowing does. Jacob Cowing is one of those guys that is going to be, he's going to be an instant impact player. Now, at what level, that remains to be seen, but again, I look at Zay Flowers, and I'm going to keep going back to this one. I don't understand why he can't be, I don't understand why he can't be Zay Flowers, because I think he's going to be the one that is pretty much, he's going to step in. And if he were to have like 80, if he were to have 60 catches for 850 yards, something like that, it would not at all surprise me, because I think that he's got that ability. And he's a tough dude. Like I said, he's been in college a long time now, and I thought he made a good decision coming back as well. He also benefited, I think, very, very much from having Noah Fafita as his quarterback. Well, everybody benefited from having Noah Fafita as the quarterback, but I think that you could also make the case that Jacob Cowing was that, because he was able to throw Jacob Cowing open to spots, and Cowing was able to put on more muscle and get stronger this past year, which was a big part of it, in that when you watch Cowing, you've got he just, like I said, he just needed to get a little bit stronger, and he did exactly that. So again, with Cowing, very, very interested to see where he does go. But another player that I think can fit in pretty much anywhere. I don't necessarily want him returning kicks. I know although he did get better as the season went on, but fair catching, just everything, no thanks, really. But he can get behind a defense. But the one thing about him, though, is that when he catches the ball, his acceleration is very, very good, very timely, and he is like I said, he's got the potential, I think, to be a very good NFL wide receiver, and a very good NFL wide receiver for a very, very long time. So we will find this one out. Now, a couple other things that we need to find out are, where exactly is Arizona with Tanner McLaughlin? Tanner McLaughlin. Okay. I think Tanner McLaughlin is going to be an NFL tight end. He's a really, really good player. And he just kind of checks off every single box. And he's big, he's physical, and he can run. And he's also a player that is able to, he's also a player who's able to, I guess just really put it like this. He's going to get open. He's going to be able to get open, and he just has a knack for the football. One thing Jedd Fisch did really, really well at the University of Arizona was he was able to ascertain the where what players had the potential to get big or better. And he always said, if we're going to miss with big, strong, physical players. And Tanner McLaughlin, I think, was a total example of that. You get a guy here from Southern Utah. I didn't expect anything from him. Honestly, I didn't even know who he was. And he came in, and he was very, very good for the U of A. And he was one of the better tight ends, I think, in the entire country. Probably didn't get necessarily the love that he should have at the U of A, because, well, I mean, he was just a really, really good player. And I think the one thing about it is that Arizona is kind of in the spot right now where you do know that you are going to find a player in Tanner McLachlan that is going to be on a lot of NFL rosters for quite a while. And not only quite a while, he is going to be I think a guy that could be kind of a he could be a yeah, I think he could be kind of a linchpin. Not only a linchpin, I think he could be the player that is the dude who catches 50 passes for 625 yards and 6 or 7 touchdowns. And he's a lot faster than people think. Not only is he a lot faster than people think, he's also somebody that, he showed up at the combine, and I wasn't surprised at all by that. And I don't think any Arizona fan was surprised by that as well, as to how he was able to run. And so that's kind of where it is with that. Now we will talk a little bit about where Arizona then stands with some of these other players. But Tanner McLachlan, a really, really good player. All three of those guys, I think, could be second or third round or top 100 round picks, because all of them, I think, are going to be able to play. And I think you could pencil all of them in as starters. Then you got somebody like Michael Wiley. I love Michael Wiley. He's incredibly good. I think he is going to be a very, very good player for the U of A. And I think he's going to be someone who is, somebody who is kind of be able to be that jack of all trades. He's going to be able to kind of be a Shane Vereen, a Shane Vereen type, somebody like that. But he's also going to be a good special teams player, somebody that can keep you in the huddle, all that kind of stuff. I think Michael Wiley is going to be very good for the University of Arizona, for anybody in the NFL. And you probably won't even need to pick him. I think he's a guy that, maybe take him in the 7th round. But if you're him, you probably prefer to be undrafted, because you could kind of be what that James White was back in the day, where everybody kind of knew that the Patriots were going to find somebody late in the draft, and they would find somebody late in the draft. But you would also have the case where Michael Wiley is the kind of the quintessential James White type. So we will find that one out. Now, Arizona's also got a lot of really talented players left on the roster. We are going to talk about all of them next. But first, Yahoo Finance. Yahoo Finance, my friends. Check it out. Yahoo Finance. Behind every great investor is Yahoo Finance. All kinds of really, really good stuff. And I think the great thing with Yahoo Finance is that you just know that behind every great investor is Yahoo Finance. Again, Yahoo is pretty much where it's at for everything. Everybody uses Yahoo. You should use it as well. Use it. Help it out with your finance. There's a guy here in the local media who at press conferences is on his Yahoo Finance, and he's a dude that just kind of, he seems like he knows what he's doing. Check it out, though, Yahoo Finance. Behind every great investor is Yahoo Finance. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now we are going to talk NFL players that are still on the team. Teteroa McMillan. All right, now Teteroa McMillan is somebody who was he's essentially maybe the best NFL prospect to come through here. At least, again, Rob Gronkowski was a second-round pick, but he was a second-round pick. I'm talking about somebody that could be a top 10, top 12 pick, and that is T-Mac. T-Mac is that guy. He's able to high point. He's able to catch. He's able to do pretty much anything you want from a talent perspective, and he has obviously been next level. And then he's turned out to be that player that is pretty much that guy that is he can accelerate. You just look around the NFL and you see dudes that are number one wide receivers that look like Teteroa McMillan. He is that guy. Very excited to see where he's going to be in the 2025 NFL draft, because barring injury, he is going to be picked very, very highly. Jonas Savaiinaea is another one at the guard position. Jonas Savaiinaea is he could, I guess at tackle. You could put Jonas Savaiinaea at guard. You could put him at tackle. You could put him anywhere. He's going to play left tackle here at the U of A. I'm not sure that that's where I would put him, but I understand where the coaching staff's going. He's also a big physical guy that, moves really well. He's put together really well. Big job by the coaching staff of getting him, of being able to keep him on. And I think with Savaiinaea, the one thing you have to know is that he is the guy who he is just able to do, pretty much he can just do things that other people can't do. He's 330 pounds, but he looks like he's 290 pounds. I mean, he's got ab muscles. If it wasn't for COVID, he would probably be at Georgia or Alabama. He should have been a 5-star recruit. That's how good he is. Wendell Moy, the other dude as well, that I think has some potential, but he's obviously a guard. But Big Jonas Savaiinaea is that dude. He is going to be a high pick when he is eligible, and I think he's going to be a stalwart of that Arizona offensive line. That is going to be fun to watch. And there are a variety of other players as well that have some real NFL potential to them, and we're going to continue to talk about them throughout. But tomorrow, the transfer portal. We have all kinds of portal madness that we are going to be breaking down. Which players are entering the transfer portal, which players are staying, which players is Arizona going to try to get as well? Because, again, people keep bringing this up that Arizona doesn't have, Arizona lost so-and-so, but were they able to pick up anybody in the transfer portal? That's where it's going to be fascinating, because we are now at portal season, and we're going to break down the entire U of A roster, where everybody is at, and kind of see where everything is at with that. Now, we're also going to obviously talk some Arizona basketball. Trey Townsend is visiting, and he's going to be on campus. What would the addition of Trey Townsend mean for the University of Arizona? All of that and more. But like I said, well, this is the best time of the year in a weird way, because, yes, I know that football and basketball isn't being played, but there is so much speculation going on that, and that's why, listen, it's not always easy to be a University of Arizona Wildcat fan, but we wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, whether that's football, whether that's basketball. It is fun. So tomorrow we will be talking the transfer portal, probably some good news, probably some bad news, but there's going to be a lot to be able to take away from that as well. And then, like I said, Trey Townsend, I'm really big on Trey Townsend. I think Arizona needs to get Trey Townsend, and I think they will be much better for the wear if they are able to get Trey Townsend. But again, Arizona basketball, Arizona football, also big shout out to Arizona baseball, absolutely annihilating things right now. Chip Hale, my guy, proud of you, Chip. So maybe we'll talk a little bit of Arizona baseball as well. But right now, like I said, we're in football and we are in basketball mode. But as always, very, very much appreciate you all making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. Bear down, back the A. We are going to have, like I said, a lot of transfer portal news tomorrow. You have been listening to the Locked On Wildcats podcast. Have a great rest of your day.